Nun Vavam in bed. We are 56b3 in the Art Scroll. It's Sanhedrin in the Bavli. It's Sanhedrin Book 2 in the Art Scroll. Perik Shvi'i. About 24 lines from the bottom on Nun Vav Amud Bed. Dinan. Okay. What's going on? So last week, the last time we learned, we had the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach, right? On Nun Vav Amud Aleph, they listed the 7 Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. And we learned it all from one pasuk on the top of Nun Vav Amud Bet that we're on right now. We have the pasuk over there, Vaitzav Hashem Elokim Al Adam Lemor Mikol Eitz Hagan Achol Tochel. We realize that this pasuk is an extra pasuk. There's really nothing is being taught from this pasuk. So the Chachamim realize that it's there for a drasha. And from there we learned the Shem Mitzvah Noach. What were the Shem Mitzvah Noach? So on Nun Vav Amud Aleph we said 7 Mitzvah Noach were as follows: Dinan. They have to create civil laws, right? Mechokis, the Rambam and the Ramban. Right, the Ramban says it's not just it's laws to create a society, so you can create more and more laws, tort laws and property laws and this laws and that laws. The Rambam says no, you need the courts in order to make sure that the other 6 mitzvahs of Bnei Noach are being kept, and that's what the court is for. So famous machlokes Rambam, but dinan, civil law or birkat Hashem and cursing Hashem. Avoid zara, gila rayot, shvichut damim, gazel, stealing the aver minachai, and eating a limb from a live animal. Those were the 7 mitzvahs Noach that we saw in the Gemara, and that was what was taught in a Braita. Today, we're going to be asking on one of these. The first one, Dinan. It says that they were mitzvah, that the Shem mitzvah Noach, they one of them was that to create civil law. Okay, so the Gemara starts off, Dinan, is it really true that regarding civil law, they have to create courts? Is that really true? B'nai Noach, if could, were they commanded with this? V'hatanya, but it was taught in the Braita. It says, Esther mitzvot nitzavu Yisrael b'mora. There were 10 commandments that the Jews get at the Mora. What was the Mora? The Mora was after they crossed the Yam Suf, right? And they went 3 days. They hadn't have any Torah, right? So they were given some Torah, and they were given 10 mitzvahs. 10 mitzvahs in Yisrael b'mora. What were the 10 mitzvahs? Sheva shikibulu alein b'nei Noach. 7, which were the ones that the b'nei Noach were given. So what do you mean you're giving it to them again? They already had it. So obviously, at this point, it's not anymore considered. When the Jews accept the Shem B'nai Noach, it's not anymore considered that we're following because it's the universal law for all people. It is universal law for all the other people, but for us, we're taking it as a mitzvah that Moshe commanded us through Hashem. So we're upgrading it to a level of a Torah mitzvah now, not just Shem B'nai Noach. And we accepted those 7. V'hosifu alehen, and then they were added to those 7. So new pieces that were added to those 7 were dinan, laws, right? Society, civil law, v'shabbat, and Shabbat, the kivud of aim. Dinan, how do you know that it was law was taught as one of the mitzvahs? Because it says over there, sham sam law hok umishpat. You have there hok and mishpat. So you have about laws. So you see, they were given the mitzvah of dinan. Shabbat kivud of aim. How do you know Shabbat kivud of aim? Nichtiv. Because it says by the Aseres Adibros, it says by the 10 Commandments, it says you should keep Shabbat and you should honor your parents. Ka'asher tzivucha Hashem elokecha, like Hashem commanded you. Where did Hashem command you? Where did Hashem command you to keep it? Rabbi Yehuda, Ka'asher tzivucha b'mara. When it says, because you're giving the luchot, you're giving the 10 Commandments, and you're saying, keep Shabbat like I commanded you. When? You're giving it to me now. Oh, no, obviously, gave it to you earlier, gave it to you by the Mara, just when you left the Yam Suf. That's when you got the mitzvah of Shabbat and Kibud of Aim, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Bar Avua. Oh, so this is the question now. It's going to be answering the question. But what's the question? You said Dinim were part of Shem Mitzvah Noach, but here it says that the Jews at the Mara got 10 mitzvahs, 7 of those mitzvahs named Noach, And then they added to those 7 3 more categories, which included din and laws. But you said din and laws were already part of the Shevet Mitzvah B'nai Noach. So that there is a distinction. They were taught a distinction between the Jewish court and a non-Jewish court, that in order for a Jewish court to process the court proceedings in dealing with Jews, you need to first of all have, for a capital punishment case, 23 judges. Whereas by a goy, you only need 1 judge. Ve'edim, you need to have 2 witnesses at a minimum. By the Shevet Mitzvah B'nai Noach courts, you only need 1 aid. V'hatra, and the warning. By the guy doesn't need any warning. By a Jew, you have to give the warning, and he has to accept the warning. Right? He has to say, I know if I do this, I'm going to be killed. Chayav skila. Then and only then you can kill the guy. So that's what they were taught. They were taught about these specific, these specific qualifications by a Jewish court. Gemara says, if that's the case, my v'hosifu. So then why does it say in the added one of the categories of dinin of laws? It should have said they had added to the laws, not that they added the laws, right? The laws means that you're adding the laws, not that you're adding to the laws. No, it's to tell us that by Jews you have knas, penalties. And the Goyim don't have penalties, so they were added. They dine knasa to the Jewish people's laws. The Gemara says akati. Still, v'hosifu bedinin. It should say we added laws to the laws. Bedinin to the laws. Not that we added laws. Not that we added dinin. Not that we added about law. So akati v'hosifu bedinan mibayile. Should have said bedinin. Within the laws, they added laws, and that's not what the writer says. It says it added laws. Now this dinim doesn't just mean laws; it means establishing beddins, making courts, houses of courts of law. What does it mean? So is coming to teach us you have to make a beitin in every single city. That was what the word, that's what it means in the Braita, that they added dinim, mean they have to add cities everywhere. The Jewish people need to have betins in every city. Gemara says, B'nai Noach lo yifkud. And what, the B'nai Noach don't have such a mitzvah to have laws and to have courts in every city? Lo hayshiv. But we had Tanya told the right that Kashem Yisrael, the same way the Jewish people were commanded to have a court in every single city, and then every single province, right? And every province and in every town, they were to have a beit. So the Goyim also have. So what does it mean, v'hosifu dinin? And they added to the Jewish people dinin. We still don't know this Braita. So the Gemara says, Elam Rava, Hi Tana Devei Menashehu. There's a Braita that taught that the Jews were given the mitzvahs of Shevet Mitzvah B'nai Noach at the Mara, and then they also were given dinin. Is not like the original Braita that we saw that listed the Shevet Mitzvah B'nai Noach. It's a different list of the 7 mitzvahs B'nai Noach. By the way, we paskin like the one we said earlier. That's the what we paskin. But this Tana Devei Menashe, the yeshiva of Menashe, they had a different teaching. The mafik dach v'ayel sach. They took away dach and they added sach instead. What's dach? What's sach? So dach is dalit is dinin. They say that the goyim don't have a mitzvah to make dinin. And the chaf is from Barech, from cursing Hashem. The ayel sach, and they add sach. Sach is going to be from the series to make someone to castrate someone, to make them sterile. That's something the goyim are commanded not to do. And the chaf is going to be kilayim, kaf, right? So it can be kilayim. That they're not allowed to do mixing of species, not allowed to force animals to mate with each other, and they're not allowed to graft trees. Those are what they're not allowed to do. That's kilayim, and that's service of Bnei Noach. What are we going to see? Let's take a look. Tana Devei Menashe. Because it's taught from the yeshiva of Menashe. Seven mitzvahs in stuff of Bnei Noach. Seven mitzvahs of Bnei Noach. God, what were they? Avodah Zarah, Gila, Roy, Shichas, Damim, Gazel, stealing, Ve'evrim, and Achai, Serus, Kilayim, sterilization, and Kilayim. Those are the seven according to Tana Menashe. So he takes away Dinin and he takes away cursing Hashem. Rabbi Yehuda, amen. Rabbi Yehuda is coming and saying a little bit different than we learned before. We had a pasuk by Tzav Hashem Elokim Elo Adam. That pasuk was taught all the mitzvahs of Noah, which means that Adam Rishon got all seven mitzvahs of Bnei Noach, and Tosfot already dealt with Avram and Achai. Why did Adam get Avram and Achai? So he said Adam wasn't supposed to eat meat, right? So he's not supposed to eat meat from shechting an animal. If an animal dies on its own, he could. So if a limb fell off, maybe he could eat it. No, it's Avram and Achai, right? That's how it applies to Adam Rishon according to Tosfot. But according to Yehuda, Adam Rishon only saw Elav Avodah Bilvad. He only had one mitzvah. He had the mitzvah of not doing avodah zarah. Now people ask, and Tosfos deals with this. What about the fact that Adam Rishon was told not to eat from the tree? So we're not counting that as Shemitz Bnei Noach or a mitzvah that's given to Adam, because we're only talking about mitzvot that are going for the dorot, going for the generations, and that's not a mitzvah that goes for the generation. So that's not a mitzvah that we're going to bring down. So he says Adam Rishon only had avodah zarah shenemar, because it says Vaytzav Hashem Elokim al ha'adam. That pasuk that we use to learn all seven Bnei Noach, he's saying means Vaytzav Hashem Elokim al ha'adam. Hashem commanded Adam about Hashem, meaning that you have to serve only Hashem and not any other gods. Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera Omer, Yehuda ben Betera says not only about avodah zarah, but he also got af al birkat Hashem, also that he shouldn't curse. So obviously, Rabbi Yehuda is arguing with the Bnei Menashe, because the Bnei Menashe doesn't bring down cursing, but he says you're not allowed to curse either. The Yesh Omer af al hadinim. Then he also, again, arguing with Tana Menashe, that you also have to have courts and laws. Kaman Oslo Hal Amar Yehuda Amarav. Whose opinion does Yehuda Amarav go according to? This was it. Elohim ani loitika aleni. Adam was told the following three statements: I am God, do not curse me. Elohim ani lo timeruni. Elohim ani yemori aleichem. Don't change me, and you should have fear upon me. Kiman, who is this like? The Yesh Arvim, like the Yesh Arvim of this Braita. And that's the way we paskin. These three were also part of the Sheva Mitzvah Bnei Noach. That and they're related to each other, because if you're saying you shouldn't do avodah zarah, that you should serve Hashem, and if you're serving Hashem, you shouldn't curse Hashem. And if you're not cursing Hashem, then you have to have a fear of Hashem. In order to create fear of Hashem, you need to have courts, right? Just like the fear of a government is basically on its ability to have police, right? And a mayor or a governor, anyone who establishes laws, a president, they have to enforce the laws, right? Shoftim, you have judges, but Shotrim, you need to have the police to enforce it, right? So same thing. Hashem is saying, I'm God, and he needs to have it enforced, and the enforcement to make sure people fear Hashem is through the proper courts. Okay, now we're going to have to deal with Tana Devei Menashe. Although we don't pass on Tana Devei Menashe, he does put in Seris, and he puts in Kilayim. He takes out Dinan, and he takes out cursing Hashem. So where does he get all this from? Because we have the pasuk Vaytzav Hashem Elokim Elo Adam, and we learn from each word another mitzvah Bnei Noach from there, because it was an extra pasuk we learned from him. But what is he doing? Darish Vaytzav. If he can learn from the pasuk Vaytzav, Afilu Hanachnami, then he has to learn like we learned. And you have to add in Dinin and cursing Hashem, because he learned it from that pasuk. Eloi Darish Hatzav Hanamayli. If he doesn't use that pasuk, where does he know all his seven from? Moran says Loilam Loi Darish Vaytzav. He doesn't use this pasuk. He does not use it. And therefore, he has a different list. He learns it each one from an individual pasuk. There's another pasuk that commands these seven, each one in its own place and its own time. So let's see. Avodah Zarah, Vigilu Arayot. The sin of Avodah Zarah and improper relationships. Where do we see that the Bnei Noach were commanded, Elrishon was commanded not to do that? Because it says, "V'tishacheta aret lifnei ha'Elohim." The land was corrupt before God. V'tan dever Rishmo, v'chol makom shenemar hashchata, einu ela davar erva b'avodas kechavim. When it says it was corrupt in the Torah, it means that there was uh, immorality of sexual matters, as well as avodah zara, davar erva, improper relationships. Shneimar ki yeshchit kol basar et darko. All of flesh were corrupted. Avodah kechavim dichtiv pein tishchitun ve'asitem. That maybe you'll become corrupt and you will do avodah zara. Now, before we move on, just want to make a slight comment. And nowadays, it's very popular for scientists to get up and to say that living alternate lifestyles, abominations, and that we consider, Torah considers abominations of two men or something like that. They're saying it's something that is found in nature. So the Beit HaLevi dealt with this idea already many years ago when he was talking about the Mabul. Mabul says, the Midrash says that they were also doing improper acts and they were going with the wrong animals. They were doing shleikedarka. You planted wheat and it came out barley. And the Beit HaLevi says, how could that be? How could animals sin? How can animals sin with? They don't have bechira. They don't have free choice. So how could kol basar? How could all flesh be corrupted? So the Beit HaLevi answered. He says, and this is a very big answer because it's very true. There's a lot of ramifications to this. Is that humans' actions influence their whole surroundings, the whole atmosphere. Everywhere that if you're around certain things, you get influenced by it, even if you don't mean to, and even if you don't want to. The fact that you're there and makes the influence on you. And so much so that the people were sinning, that the rest of the world also started sinning as well. So if you see it in nature, doesn't mean it's natural. It means is the influences of the humans' actions have been causing this to happen. It's very interesting that when it comes to the Mabul, you mentioned about the Mabul for a moment. By the Mabul, everything was destroyed except for the fish. How come the fish weren't destroyed? After possible to say, fish were not part of our world, meaning we're from Adama, from the land, and we affect the land creatures and those who associate with land creatures where we are. The fish are in the water; they're in a separate entity. They're outside, so to speak, the corruption of people, and that's why fish survive, whereas the animals and everything that is on land based did not. Perhaps that can be like an allusion to Torah being Mayim, and if a person, he focuses just on his Torah and he's in the Beit Midrash, he's in the Teva, he's away from all the nonsense, then he can survive the Mabul of all the craziness that goes on in the world as well. Okay, so we see a pasuk that says this is why they were killed. So obviously this is why they're killed, and then it was a sin, and they must have known it was a sin, and that's why they were killed because of these two things. So Gila Rais and Avodah Zarah, we see the Idach. Now, what is the other Tana who we learn like Shevetz Bnei Noach, and he learns it from the pasuk? What does he do? These psukim. So he says, "Orchayu deka megale." You're just telling me what their behavior was, but this is not the pasuk that you learned that it's also to do those. You're just telling me these psukim are telling me what the behavior was at the time of the Mabul, but it's not the place that you learned the halachas from. Shvichu damim. How do you know if they murder that they get killed? That it's one of mitzvahs when they know if they murder they get punished for it. So if you want to take a look at the whole pasuk, it's in the Torah or Hashalom on the Hebrew side, right margin, number 4. Dalet. Shayfich dama adam ba'adam dama yishafech. Right? If you kill somebody, you have to spill his blood. Even tell him also et adam, because Hashem made him with the image of God. So therefore, the pasuk says, "Kill, you get killed." The idach and the other Tana, what does he do with this pasuk? Says no. I learned that if you kill someone, you get killed. We learned that from the pasuk by Tzav Hashem l'kivul adam. So what do I do with this pasuk? Shayfach dama adam. It comes to teach us how to kill him. Every time you kill a guy, if Noah's court kills a guy, the way they kill them is through shofech dam. Damo yishafech. It says you should spill his blood. How do you spill someone's blood? Spill someone's blood by cutting off their head. Cutting off their head, and the blood spills out. Just like you do shchita, right? And then all the blood starts spurting out. That's what it means to spill his blood. And the pasuk comes to just the mode of execution for a guy, but not the halacha that if someone kills, he gets killed. That we learned from that pasuk by Tzavah Shem L'Kulo. Okay, gazel, theft, dichtiv, because it says kierek esen natati lechem kol. I gave you to eat like the vegetation of the grassland. I've given you all things to eat. Rabbi Levi, what's vegetation of the grassland? Lo kierek gina, and not like vegetation of a garden, meaning you should eat that is free, that is hefker, that's out there in the nature, but not to take from someone's property. That would be stealing. So you have Gezel in this pasuk. The Idach and the other Tana who learns it from the same pasuk by Tzav Hashem Elokim Adam. What does he do with this pasuk Yerik Esev? He says that is about eating meat. Don't take that pasuk out of context. But we take a look, and hey, in pasuk hey in the Torah Shalom it says kol remes asher hu chai lachem yela ochla. Everything that's alive, you should be allowed for you to eat. Kierik esev, like the vegetables, natati lachem et kol. I gave you everything to eat. So the context of that pasuk is about allowing Noach to eat meat, to kill an animal and eat its meat. Okay. Ever min achai, dichtiv, ach basar b'nafsho damo lo tochelu. But flesh with its soul, which is its blood, you shall not eat. This teaches us that you're not allowed to take a limb from an animal when the flesh was attached to its soul and the blood. When the animal was alive, you can't do that. That's the pasuk of Ever min achai. No, it's not talking about that. It's coming to tell us that a Noahide is allowed to eat creeping creatures. Okay? Because it says, B'nafsho damo, his soul is in his blood. And these creeping creatures, we do not, they do not have their soul in their blood. Therefore, their blood is not considered a separate entity, but part of its flesh. The halacha is considered part of its flesh. Therefore, they're allowed to eat creeping creatures. That's what the pasuk is coming to teach. Not even Menachai, rather than Ben Noach is allowed to eat creeping creatures. Serus, sterilization. How do you know? How does the Tanakh Menashe know about sterilization? So it says, Shirtzu va'aretz or huva. They were told to spread out in the earth and multiply. You should have a lot of children. So it means you cannot be sterile, because if you're sterile, you cannot have children. But Idach, and what does the other Tana do with this? Seirus, he doesn't even learn Seirus. So what does he do with this pasuk? He says, this project, lebracha ba'alma. It's just a bracha. It's just a bracha that they should have children, but not that you cannot be in Seirus. You can't make yourself sterile. Kilayim. Like we said, making two animals mate that are not the same species, or grafting trees. How do we know this? It says when Noah was bringing animals to the teva, he brought each bird according to its kind. Right? Why does it say that? It tells that you cannot mix the species. So you see Kilayim, the Idach, and the other Tana who doesn't say Kilayim is part of Hashem's b'nei Noach. What does he do with this pasuk? Hahu litzafta be'alma. He says that was just a practical thing, that the species should have companionships, because as much as you can spend time with people who are not your type, or not in your same circles, or not from your same community, it's a lot easier to have fun with people who are more similar to you. You have more of in common. You have more of being able to understand each other. And so it was for companionship. They're going to be on this boat for over a year-long cruise, right? You need to have someone you're more capable to have companionship. So it's nothing to do with with kilayim per se, but rather to do with practicality of companionship. All right. So that dealt with Tana Devei Menashe and how he deals with the Shevetz Bnei Noach, with his taking out of Dinan and Birkat Hashem and cursing Hashem, and adding instead Seirus and Kalayim, which are not on the other list. Amar, yes, Solomon, you have a question?
Yes.
Great.
I need a clarification on one of the issues here.
Okay, go ahead.
Basically, it says 7 laws of Noah plus 3 additional, right? That makes it 10.
By the Jews at the Mara, yes.
Okay. If the civil was already there and another civil was added, doesn't it double civil or one replaces the other?
Say again, I don't understand.
Since within the first 7 original laws of Noah included the civil law.
That was the whole question. If you're saying that Dinan is a part of the civil law, is a part of the Shevetz Bnei Noach, then why are we listing Dinan again in that Breita that was given to the Jews?
That's correct.
So now we're saying that that Breita is not according to our understanding of Shevetz Bnei Noach. It's under the standing of Tana Devei Menashe, who takes away Dinan and puts instead Seirus and Kilayim. And therefore, the Jews, according to him, except the Shevetz Bnei Noach, which did not have Dinan in there, rather had Kilayim and Sirus, and then they got the mitzvah of Dinan at the Mora, which is not part of the Shevetz Bnei Noach. That's the way the Gemara is answering it.
And that's how it goes. That's how it's going to go, basically.
Right, but l'halacha, we say we don't hold like the Tana Devei Menashe, and we say Dinan were given to the guy, and at the Mara, this Braita doesn't go according to our opinion. This Braita goes according to Tana Devei Menashe, so it's not a problem for us.
So if the 7 original stand, which includes the civil law, then additional 3 comes in. Now we have a dilemma.
According to our opinion,
according to halacha.
Right. So according to halacha, this Braita is incorrect.
Which Braita? The
Braita that the third that the additional 3, one of them was Dinan, would be incorrect.
Okay, so this must be something else. The additional 3.
Maybe something else was given. I don't have a chumash on me. I believe that Rashi does talk about it in chumash on that pasuk. I don't have a chumash behind me with a Rashi, but if you have a Rashi, I believe Rashi does talk about it. It does bring it in what it was. If my understanding is, I have to take a look at it. I'll try. I don't have a Rashi now, but I'll take a look at it after the Shir Hashem. If I see it, I will post it. So we'll have it. Any other questions? Okay, good. All right. Let's see anything here I have to mention before we move on from the halachas. Okay, Mepia Kabbalah, B'nei Noach Hasurin B'harvat Behema U'V'harkavat Ilan Bilvad, the Eina Hargin Alein. Although B'nei Menashe said Kilayim for Ben Noach is one of B'nei Noach, we say it is aser for a guy to do 2 types of Kilayim. They're allowed to wear shotness. That's not their part of Kilayim. That's our Kilayim. They're not allowed to make animals mate with each other, meaning make them, not just leaving them in a room, actually make them mate with each other, and to graft trees onto each other. But if they did do that, they do not get killed. It's not like Shevetz Bnei Noach that you kill them. It's still an isser for them. What about Sirius to make them sterile? It says over here in the halach that you're not allowed to tell a guy to make a animal sterile, to castrate an animal. You're not allowed to tell them to do that. About themselves, I'm not sure. Okay, what's the him? Okay, so I don't know if they're allowed to make themselves sterile or not. That's not brought down over here, but they're not allowed to do kilayim. Okay, let's move on to our next piece of Gemara. Okay, the Gemara now is going to tell us. Okay, so I'll tell you halacha l'maisa. Halacha l'maisa is the Rambam says that if a guy does any of the 7 averot, any of the Shemitah Noach, he's over any of them, he gets killed. The Sayaf with the sword. That's halacha l'maisa. It's going to be the third opinion in the Gemara that we're going to see now. But there's going to be an opinion that we're starting off with that not all 7 mitzvahs of Noach, if they're over, if they transgress it, they get killed. They only get killed for 3. Amar Yosef, Amar Beirav, Al Shloish mitzvahs ben Noach nehara. You kill him for 3. Only the 3 out of 7. Which ones? Gesher, Siman. The Siman is Gesher. What's Gesher? Gimel is Al Gilu Arayot, on improper relationships. Val Shvicho Damim, that's the Shin from Gesher, that's spilling blood, killing, murder. Al Birkat Hashem, so Reish is the Birkat, the Reish of Birkat, of cursing Hashem. Those are the 3. So Matkif, Rav Sheshet. Rav Sheshet says, Bishlei Mashiach Damim. Killing someone, murdering, I know you have to kill him. Because the Pasuk says, someone kills someone, you have to spill his blood. Right? So that's the Beferish Pasuk in Bereshit. Elohanach, well, the other ones, how do you know them? If you say compare it to Shvichas Damim, if you're saying these other 2 learn it from murder, Safilu Kul Honami, then learn all 7 from murder. If you're comparing 1 to the murder, so compare all 7 to the murder, and therefore each one should be killed if they did over any of them. The itrabai me ish ish, imishum the itrabai me ish ish. But if you're saying that maybe you learn it from the wording of the Torah where it says ish ish, there are psukim that are brought down regarding improper relationships and cursing Hashem, and he uses the language ish ish, and we already saw a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that it says ish ish 2 weeks ago, that it's possible to mean ish, one man meaning a Jewish man, and another ish meaning a non-Jewish man, and that's what the 2 ishes mean. And perhaps there are psukim that say this, and there is. You take a look at note 21. Ish ish ki kalel havna, a man who curses Hashem, man. So even a guy curses Hashem gets killed. Ish ish el kol she'ar b'srola tikaruli galot erva. Shouldn't come to a relative to uncover their nakedness. So you have the Gilu Arayot with ish ish. So therefore a guy gets killed for that too, because it says ish ish. The Gemara says there's only one problem with that. Avodat kachavim nami itrabemi ish ish. When it comes to avodah zara, it also says ish ish. You take a look in note 22. Ish ish from Israel. Hashem Israel alam malach mod yumat. So use lashon ish ish. So she also killed for the ish ish, and you're saying only 3. And avodah zara is not on your list. Second opinion. Al arba mitzvahs b'nei Noach nehareg. You can kill for 4, including avodas kachavim. Now the Gemara says avodas kachavim b'nei Noach nehareg. Do you really kill a guy for avodah zara? Tanya was told in the Braita. Ba'avodat kachavim. When it comes to a guy, devarim shebeitin shel Yisrael memitin aleim. If a Jew would die because of it, b'nei Noach muzhar aleim. He is warned against them. As hara aim, you see, they're only warned against doing avodah zara. Mitaloi, but not that they get killed. A Jew does get killed, a guy doesn't. Oh, Nachmar Yitzchak, no, you're reading it all wrong. As hara shalahain zuhu mitatan. We already learned a guy doesn't get a warning. Their warning is their death. So when it says Benoch Muzar Lane, it means that they get killed, just like a Jew. So therefore, there is proof that a guy would get killed for serving avodah zara. Just read the Rambam over here. Benoch sha'avad avodah zara is a chayev. V'hu she'yavod kedarka. Chol avodah zara shebeitin shel Yisrael b'mitin aleim benoch nareg aleah. A guy gets killed for any of our desire that a Jew would get killed for. And if a Jew wouldn't get killed, he also doesn't get killed. The guy. They should not create decorations and other stuff also for it. We don't let them do that either. But it's the same din. The Zara guy Jew same chiyuv, whatever a Jew would get tequila, but a guy would also get killed and get the sayim and get the sword. Okay, so fine. Bekulel Talmidei de Rav Amrei. Rav Huna and Yehuda say, along with all the students of Rav, Al Sheva Mitzvahs Ben Noach Nehare. You kill him for any of the 7 mitzvahs b'nei Noach. Gali Rachmona Bechada. The Torah taught it by Shvichas Damim, and then you compare it to all the other V'hu Hadin Lekuluhu, and you kill him for any of the other mitzvahs, and that is Halacha L'Maisa. That is brought in the Rambam. That what you kill the guy, for any of those averot, any of them. That you would kill the guy for being over any of them, just like this psak over here. All right, now we're gonna have to deal a little bit more with questions as follows. Now that you're telling me that all the mitzvahs of Bnei Noach, if a guy is over it, he gets killed, is this really true? Al hagazel, and for stealing, ben Noach nehareg, you're going to kill a guy. You don't really kill for stealing by Jews. So you kill by a guy. Says, listen to this. Listen to this Braita. Vatanya was talking about Al hagazel for stealing. Ganav the gazel the chen yefa Torah. He was a ganev or a gazlan, or if he stole someone's wife in battle, a beautiful captive in battle. What's the difference between Ganav and Gazlan? Okay, so important to know this distinction. Ganav is someone who steals at night or tries to steal in a way that people don't see. Gazlan is a guy who, in broad daylight, just goes and does whatever he wants and takes whatever he wants. Those are the Ganav and Gazlan. Now, halachically, which one is considered worse? Basically, which one is punished more by the Torah? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Anyone know?
Gazlan.
Gazlan? You sure?
Yeah, broad daylight. Yeah, he has no shame.
Okay.
The other one at night, he's a little bit more shame. He does it in a secret.
Okay. I hear you. A good point. Solomon, you have anything else to say? Any difference? Opinion? Okay. So Avram is a good point that you're saying, but it's just the opposite. Why? We say that the Ganev has to pay kefil, has to pay double. The Ganev will have to pay 4 or 5 if he stole a sheep or whatever it is. And Gazel never has to do that. Why is that? It's because we say that the Gazlan is a better guy than the Ganev. Why? He does it in broad daylight. Because he's not scared of people and he's not scared of Hashem. He's just not scared of anyone. So he's okay. It's wrong. But the Ganev, he's scared of people, but he's not scared of Hashem. Right? And for that, right? And for that, he's punished more. He's scared of people, but he's not scared of Hashem. So we say, yeah, you're gonna pay more for that. You know, if you're already a bad guy, apparently you should be bad, like extreme. This way you're scared of, it's different when you're scared of people but not scared of Hashem. It's not a good thing, and therefore he's punished more. Okay, so Ganev, Gazlam, V'chein Yafa Star, V'chein Kiyotze Behein. So V'chein Kiyotze Behein and stuff similar to these thefts. We're gonna have to deal with this part of the Bright of V'chein Kiyotze Behein next week. We're not gonna finish it now. So by stealing, let's see the halacha by stealing. Kuti b'kuti. If a guy steals from a guy, the kuti b'Yisrael, or if a guy steals from a Jew, aser. It says it's forbidden. The Yisrael b'kuti mutar. But a Jew from a guy, it is mutar to steal. Rashi here on the page says that might be the halacha. The lo ta'ashok et re'echa k'tiv. V'lo kuti. U'midrabanan rabbinically, the aser mishum chil Hashem ba'agozol batra. That the rabbis came and made it aser to steal from a guy because it might cause a chil Hashem. That's the way Rashi brings us down. So it seems to be a Jew is allowed to steal from a guy lichatchila, according to Rashi. But the rabbis came and made it forbidden. The fact is, there are some Rishonim that say stealing from a guy is actually an Aser D'Oraita. And that's the way the Shulchan Aruch brings it down. Shulchan Aruch brings it down that you're not allowed to steal from a guy, and that's an Aser D'Oraita, completely Aser. There are those Rishonim that say no. In fact, the Gra, the Lagon, is very surprised by the Shulchan Aruch. He says, that's not the way we learn halacha. Halacha, a guy is Jews allowed to steal from a guy, and it's mutter. Meiri, Shulchan Aruch says you can't. So the halacha is you can't steal from a guy. Now the question is it the right or the rabbanon? So that you have different opinions of. The Meiri brings an interesting distinction, and the Meiri says it depends. Depends if the guy keeps Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach, then you can't steal from him the Oraita. You can't steal from him. If he doesn't, then the Oraita you're allowed to steal from him. But the Rechavim came and said, don't steal from him, make a Chil Hashem. Then there are those who want to add on and say that today, even though they don't keep Sheva Mitzvah B'nai Noach, but overall, they're more decent people because the Bible has affected many people, right? The Old Testament has been passed around the world, and people have changed a lot of their drachim and stuff like that. Therefore, it should be also to steal from all goyim because they've somehow been rehabilitated to the degree that you're not allowed to steal from them. Again, halacha l'maisa, we can't steal from them, whether it's deraita, whether it's derabanan, whether it's chil Hashem, whatever reason it is you want to know. At the end of the day, you can't. But according to some Rishonim, and at least the Gemara we have here, according to this day on this opinion, this Braita, Yisrael Bekuti Mutar, that a Jew is allowed to steal from a guy. Okay, so now the Gemara says this. Now you told me if a guy steals, you have to kill him. The im ita, and if it's like you said that you kill a guy for stealing, so it shouldn't have said aser. Kuti Yisrael aser. It should nitznei chayav. It should have said chayav, and chayav means chayav mita. There's a difference between the word asur. Asur means you can't do it, and hayav means that you're hayav mita. You have to get mita. So it should have used the word hayav, not asur. So the Gemara says it's not just because it says asur doesn't mean that the guy you don't kill him. But shum to cover the mitna seifa. The truth is, we wanted to teach the second part. Yisrael bekuti mutar. You want to say that Yisrael from a guy is allowed to steal. So Tana Reisha Aser. Therefore, it said Aser in the beginning. Meaning we have parallel words. If you use Hayav, then you say Patur. It's Hayav Mita or it's Patur from Mita. You say either something is Mutar or something is Asur. So since we wanted to say that the Jew who steals from a guy, he's not just Patur, meaning that he shouldn't do it, but if he did, it's okay. No, I want to say Mutar, then he's even allowed to steal from the guy. Therefore, it uses the word mutar. We're focusing on the Braita at the Jewish part, about the Jew. Therefore, Jew from a guy, mutar. We'll use the parallel language of asur by the guy, but it doesn't mean it's actually just asur. In fact, it's hayamita. The Gemara says, but it can be shown that the Tana does use the word chayav. Mitznei ketane, because we see it's taught beferish, it's taught very clearly. The Ketani Reisha. Look at the beginning of that Braita that you brought down. It says Al Shvicha Damim on killing Kuti Bikuti, Vikuti B'Yisrael. The guy kills a guy, the guy kills a Jew. Hayav Mita. He's going to be killed. Yisrael Bikuti, but if a Jew kills a Kuti, Patur, he's going to be exempt. If a Jew kills a guy, he doesn't get executed. So we see that the Tana uses the word hayav. So if he means that someone's hayav mita, he does say hayav mita. Gemara says, not, you got to look at this again. Hatam heiche litnei. What did you want it to say? Litnei asur mutar. You wanted to say the word asur mutar, but that's not true. A Jew is not allowed to kill a guy in the first instance. He's not allowed to go and lechatchila kill a guy. Tani, because we learned kuti roi behemadaka guy. Or a Roy Behemadaka. This is shepherds, even Jewish shepherds who have shepherds of small animals. They were considered to be very bad people. They were stealing left and right. They've had a bad reputation. So if you see them, loy ma'alim v'loy maridin. If you see them in a pit, you don't have to take them out and save them, but you're not allowed to put them down there in the first place. So you see, a Jew is not allowed to kill a guy. Therefore, you cannot use the word mutar by the Jewish part. Therefore, you use patur. If you use patur, then you can use hayav because that's the power of the language by the guy. Again, it looks like we're focusing on the Jewish part of the Braita and saying the halacha like that. So we're gonna stop over here. Because that's where I got up on the Shabbos year. So Hashem, when we continue, we'll continue from here. And the idea is again that okay, a Jew definitely cannot kill a guy. A Jew should not and cannot steal from a guy. But if a guy would be over and Noach, technically they would be killed for that. Just want to read one last thing here. We're actually going to see it next time as well, but we have a couple minutes. Let me just read this from the halacha here in the back. This is from the Rambam. Noach shehareg nefesh. If a guy kills a person, afilu ubar b'mei imo, even a fetus in its mother's womb, naharig olav, he's chayav mita. That means an abortion, causing an abortion. That person who caused the abortion, hayav mita, v'chein im harig treifa, or if he killed someone who was going to die anyway. Yeah, hot issue for sure. Harig treifa, or he captures someone and he puts him in front of a lion. Or shenichu birav ad shemet, or he didn't give him food and he caused him to die. If he somehow, because of him, someone else died, he gets killed. So too, if someone was trying to kill the guy, and so let's say Tony's running after Jack, and Jack is running away, but Jack wants to stop Tony. So he could have hit him with one of the limbs and stop him, but he didn't, and he killed him instead. You kill the guy as well. Which is not the same dinim by a Jew, completely not. But that's how far it goes. It goes, and even if they didn't mean to, if they killed somebody, they're hayav mita, and all they need is one aid, one witness, one judge, no warning. Hayav mita. Okay, this is where we'll end for today, unless someone has any questions. Stop it over here. That
will do it. Thank you.
Yashikah.
Jazakallah.